Esteemed faculty, guests, family, and friends, and most importantly, our incredible students, welcome to the class of 2026 Student Clinician Ceremony. I want to take a moment to acknowledge any family and friends that may be watching today's ceremony via the live stream, and also apologize because I realize it's hard to look at you all and the camera at the same time, and introduce myself to those of you I've not met. My name is Carrie Tom. I am the Associate Dean for Student Affairs at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and I am pleased to celebrate with all of you today and to get this afternoon's event started. Soon we will hear from Dean Gladwin, selected peers, and Dr. Moda, today's keynote speaker, each of whom will share some wisdom, advice, and some of their own thoughts on what it means to be a physician and a professional in medicine. But first, I would like to just take a short bit of your time to address each of you, the students, with some of my own thoughts. Students, today marks a pivotal moment in your journey as future physicians. And I am so privileged to have gotten to know many of you over the last couple of years. And I am excited to watch each of you take these next steps. As you stand here today on the threshold of this next phase with admittedly just one small hill to climb first, poised to embark on your clinical rotations, it's only natural to feel the mix of excitement and anticipation, which I can certainly feel in the air today, but also a bit of anxiety. And yet we all know that you are ready. You're ready to take on this next step. Today's ceremony is not just a formality, it's a rite of passage. So let today serve for each of you as a moment of reflection and also a moment of celebration of this incredible journey that you've undertaken thus far. Your many, many years of hard work leading to your elite acceptance to this medical school, and the countless hours you have accumulated so far reviewing lecture notes, Anki cards, dissecting cadavers, and mastering the fundamental principles of medicine. And now it's time to take that next step from the classroom to the clinic, from theory to practice, and from student to clinician. This transition, no doubt, will be exhilarating, but also daunting. In a few short weeks, you will find yourself face to face with real patients, each with their own unique stories, with their own unique struggles, and their own aspirations and goals. And with this privilege comes a great responsibility. As you receive your professionalism pins today, pause and remember that you are not just representing yourselves, but the values of this great profession and that of a Renaissance physician at the University of Maryland. You are making a commitment to a career of lifelong learning and clinical excellence. Humanism, professionalism, leadership, and an attention to social justice and diversity are the qualities that will go on to define you as a true leader and a true Renaissance physician from the University of Maryland. Throughout your clinical rotations, you will encounter moments of triumph, but also moments of doubt. You will witness moments of joy and moments of heartbreak, and you will experience the full spectrum of human emotion. Yet, through it all, you will not only grow as physicians, but also compassionate and competent caregivers. And yes, along with this, there will be some personal challenges too. Times where you'll feel overwhelmed with the sheer volume of information, the pace of clinical decision-making, or the emotional weight of caring for patients in their most vulnerable states. But we want you to remember that you are not alone. You are never alone. You have a team of dedicated mentors, attendings, many of whom are here with you today, residents, fellows, and each other, your peers, who will support you through this journey. So please know that we are here for you. As you take these next steps, I urge you to embrace every opportunity with curiosity, humility, and resilience. Approach each patient counter as a learning experience and an opportunity to hone your clinical skills, and above all, a chance to make a meaningful difference in someone's life. Sometimes it's as simple as an encouraging touch or a listening ear, which you are ready for. And as you recite the oath today, remember the commitment you are making to prioritize the well-being of your patients and uphold the highest standards of our professionalism and the Renaissance curriculum. and never lose sight of the privilege to serve others in their time of need. So again, I want to congratulate each of you on reaching this milestone. We are more than thrilled to watch you grow into the doctors you have always dreamed of being and to see the impact you will make as your journeys continue. So in the closing part of my speech today, I definitely want to take a purposeful moment to acknowledge and express sincere gratitude to our presenting sponsors today, the Medical Alumni Association. We have Larry Pitroff here representing, and the Whiting Turner Contracting Company for their support of today's ceremony, but really for all they do for all of our students in the MD program throughout your time here. There are many more people to thank, but I'll be brief. Dean Gladwin, we want to thank you for helping, for your support in helping these students grow into the physicians they aspire to be. We know you weren't able to be here with us today. You're in the ICU taking care of patients, but we are appreciative that you recorded some remarks for the students to hear today, and we thank you for that. To the faculty, my colleagues and my friends, thank you for your commitment to education, your passion for teaching and mentorship, and your dedication to your patients. You're amazing role models for our students, and they are lucky to have each of you as educators and mentors. And thank you to the students in the class of 2024 and 2025 who wrote personalized notes for each of you today that you will receive. I know this is a simple gesture, but I believe appreciated more than they will know. I would also like to express our immense gratitude to the Somme chapter of the Gold Humanism Honor Society for their partnership in hosting today's event. Thank you to Drs. Goyle and Dr. Levin, our GHHS faculty advisors, for your leadership and your support. And thank you to the entire GHHS leadership team, including our MCs today, co-presidents Robbie Flessner and Sarah Curtis, for all their hard work and dedication you've shown in both supporting today's event, but multiple events throughout the year. And last, but certainly not least, thanks to Ms. McCartan for organizing today's special event. We are so grateful for her passion and her dedication to her work to both Somme and the students. So this time I'd like to invite Sarah to come up, again, co-president of the Gold Humanism Honor Society.
Thank you, Dr. Tom, and thank you everyone for being here. It's nice to see you all, class of 2026. We will now hear recorded remarks from Dean Gladwin, who unfortunately is unable to join us today in person because he's caring for patients in the ICU. Dr. Gladwin is the Dean of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, Vice President for Medical Affairs at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and the John Z. and Akiko K. Bowers Distinguished Professor.
Congratulations on this incredible transition in your career. I apologize, I'm not there in person. I'm actually attending in the ICU this week, so you can come visit me at the medical ICU at UMMC this afternoon. But I do just want to congratulate you, and if it's okay with you, maybe share a little bit of advice as you make this transition from your second year to your third year. So first of all, medicine is an incredible, rich process where you accumulate the knowledge of medicine. And as you enter this new phase of learning, where you're in the clinics, where you have relationships with patients, with multidisciplinary teams, the process of learning is a layering process of knowledge. And one piece of advice that I always have is that the best way to remember things is to touch, hear, speak, smell, engage. That our brains are capable of remembering almost anything. It's really the retrieval of information that's challenged. And learning theory suggests that we can retrieve information better if the processing of that information comes from many, many touch points. So the best way to learn is to embrace your relationship with your patient. And every night, the patient that you see, that admission, read about the medical condition of that patient. Even if it's a short piece of information, read about the management, read about the mechanism of disease, study the imaging, the labs, the patient's history, their story, the physical exam. And your brains right now are going to work, trust me, at my age of 57, better than your brains will ever work for the rest of your life. And you're going to remember the core knowledge of medicine from this next 2 years' experience, as well as your internship and residency and fellowships. So just read about your patients. Take that time, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Always read about your patients and put those things together. The other piece of that is embrace the fundamental mechanism of disease. Understand the biochemistry or the genetics or the genomics. Try to put the disease in the context of the basic science around our understanding of that disease. The second piece of advice that I'd say is make sure that you learn to communicate. A lot of medicine is communication. Lives are saved, the transition of information from one shift or from one team, or the vital information that you're going to learn from having a lot of time at the bedside with your patient. So learn the art of presentation in an efficient way. And you're going to have colleagues, peers, role models that are great communicators and presenters, and don't be afraid to ask their advice, to role model off of their excellence. And then the last piece I'll say is that, and it relates to one in a different way, it's embrace the humanism of this experience. Really get to know your patients. You have a time now. And I'll never forget the discussions at the Veterans Affairs Hospital at Oregon Health Science University, just talking to a patient who was a prisoner of war in World War II and had been captured at the Battle of the Bulge. You'll never have that opportunity again. And I'll also remember, spending Christmas with a young woman with lung fibrosis from scleroderma who ultimately passed away, and just taking the time to sit down and every day answer a question and be there for her during Christmas. And it's a haunting memory. And if there's anything I regret, it's that I didn't spend enough time on those human connections. And I remember when I had a Veterans Affairs clinic. And on my last day of clinic, when I left Oregon, I remember one of my patients took me aside and he said, Dr. Gladwin, he said, I want to give you advice. And he said, you're always moving too fast. And he said, you need to take a moment, pause, take a breath, and just look at a tree. And the leaves move, the sun reflects at a different angle. Just look at trees. And these sort of experiences are invaluable. So just embrace that relationship with your patient. And again, congratulations on an exciting transition. This will be scary. This will be hard. You're not going to be alone. And medicine is a team endeavor. You're going to have people with you there the whole way. And we're always there for you. So congratulations.
Our next speaker will be class of 2024 student Natalia Ochman. During her time at UMSOM, Natalia has served as Vice President of the Student Women in Medicine Interest Group and President of the Student Council. She also graduated from University of Maryland, Baltimore's President Student Leadership Institute and volunteered at the Baltimore Leadership School for Young Women. Natalia is extremely passionate about medical education and leadership and helped work on the Cultivating Leaders Integrating Medicine and Business series, which was just approved to be a longitudinal elective for medical students at UMSOM. In her free time, she paints and powerlifts. Natalia is applying into general surgery and hopes to ultimately combine her engineering background with her surgical residency to pursue trauma surgery. Natalia was chosen to be the student speaker for today's ceremony by our Golden Humanism Honor Society members because her classmates have highlighted her unwavering commitment to viewing patients holistically, creating a supportive clinical environment, and advocating for her patients' best possible care. Her qualities exemplify the core values of compassionate and patient-centered care that Gold Humanism stands for. Today, Natalia is here to share advice from her experience as a third year entering the clinical world. Natalia.
I'm not pre-recorded, so hopefully this goes a little bit better. So hi all, my name is Natalia Ochman, and I am an MS4 coming to you today to give you a little bit of information and advice about the journey you guys are all going to be taking soon. So let's talk about observation, intuition, and personal health. As new third years, it's very overwhelming to balance studying for shelf exams while taking ownership of patients and remembering what the generic name of ANSEF is. It took me a couple of weeks. We feel that we're not contributing as much as we wanted, and that our assessments and plans might be so far off they might as well be in outer space. But something as simple as observation can be your biggest auxiliary. When you walk into a patient's room, take a top-down approach. What is hanging from the IV poles? Do they have a line in their neck? Is the ostomy bag filled with gas? Is there a Foley? Not all patients are as complex, but observing what your patient looks like and surrounds them can give you so much more information. One patient in the ED presented with a fall and a potential head wound. While working her up for a possible concussion or brain bleed, I helped her move onto the bed and felt a hardness in her abdomen. It seemed fishy for me, so I asked to perform an abdominal exam. Some palpations and questions later, I found out she had lost over 40 pounds in the last couple months and was having night sweats. Because of my observation of a weirdness I could not define in her stomach, we ended up discovering a cancer, which meant the patient could now get the treatment that she needed. But these observations don't always have to be life or death. On my surgery rotation, I noticed that a patient was only eating yellow Jell-O off of their plate, only the yellow Jell-O. I found that he hated the broth and that his PO intake was so low after surgery for that reason. We ended up ordering him more Jell-O so he could pass his clear liquid diet, be subsequently advanced to a full diet, and ultimately get discharged quicker. Your small observations can make a big difference in the hospital course of a patient. But now intuition can be a little bit tricky. We don't have enough hospital years under our belt to form a confident gestalt, but sometimes you just get that feeling that something is wrong. Asking questions can better help you define that feeling. On my pediatric rotation, I was sent in to interview a brother-sister duo with their mom. The brother was active, asking me questions and playing with things in the room, but the sister sat quietly in her chair and avoided eye contact. The brother wanted to be interviewed with the mom in the room, so I happily obliged, but when I asked the sister the same thing, the mom said fine, but she shook her head quietly. Something was off. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I needed to figure it out. So I told the mom that at her daughter's age, it is customary to interview them separately and quickly set up a room for the mother and brother to wait in. I sat back down in front of the sister and started asking general questions while picking up on changes in her tone. Through this conversation, I ended up finding out she was sexually assaulted a couple days prior, something I don't think she would have shared with me had I not created that safe space. Something else to remember during your third year is creating your own safe space. Jumping from sitting in didactics to now being on the wards can start to feel like a coup-counter-coup whiplash. It is important not to make yourself a patient during your third year. Set aside time to do what makes you happy. Those that know me know that if I'm not at home, I'm usually at the gym powerlifting, and I recognize some faces in the crowd. But was that really hard to balance initially? Absolutely. But even a 30-minute walk through the neighborhood can do wonders for your physical, mental, and emotional health that ultimately benefits your learning. So I want you all to sit here right now and choose one thing that makes you happy outside of medicine that you want to continue pursuing during your third year. Maybe it is the gym, maybe it's painting, hanging with friends, seeing family, building Lego sets, meditating to EDM music, or even playing with your pet. Whatever it is, give yourself time to do it. Technical skills, medical knowledge, base, and confidence will come with practice and time. But your observation and intuition skills can be used right now. As a third year, sometimes you will feel like the last rung on the totem pole of the hospital. But I'm telling you, it is all worth it when you connect with a patient and help their life get a little better and a little healthier. Doubting yourself is normal, but letting it stop you is a choice. Failures will happen, but I always say that the universe has 3 answers to everything you want. Yes, not yet, or there is something better. Remember, in 2 short years, you will be on the Hippodrome stage, but you'll be graduating as a doctor of medicine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Those words were extremely inspiring and rung very true even for us fourth years now sitting here with you all today. And now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Melissa Mota. Dr. Mota was born and raised in Panama, attended Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, and received her MD and MPH degrees from the George Washington University School of Medicine and Public Health in Washington, D.C. She completed an internship in internal medicine and a neurology residency and a 2-year fellowship in neurocritical care at Johns Hopkins Hospital. She has worked as a neurointensivist at the University of Maryland School of Medicine for 10 years and loves living in Baltimore and serving the Baltimore community. Dr. Mota's research involves understanding how our practices and interventions affect quality of life and other self-reported measures important to patients. She is also passionate about promoting patient and family-centered care and worked on a collaborative project to implement evidence-based patient and family engagement strategies in our hospital. Dr. Mota developed a neuro-recovery clinic to both care for patients after discharge from the neurocritical care unit and provide support during the process of recovery. For the last 5 years, she has served as course director for the neurology clerkship and developed curricula in medical education, ethics, and humanism in neurology. Dr. Mota was selected to speak today by our Gold Humanism Honor Society members because, as students who have directly worked with her have quoted, her commitment to improving experiences for patients and families in critical conditions where the little things are often overlooked sets a high standard for patient care. This commitment extends beyond hospital discharge, and it has been described as inspiring and kind by those who have had the privilege to learn from her. Please welcome Dr. Melissa Mota.
All right, and so I feel deeply honored to have been selected and to be able to provide remarks for the class of 2026 as they transition into their clinical years. 20 years ago, I'm that old, I was in your seat, getting ready to start my clinical rotations. And a lot of the remarks and a lot of the ideas I had about what to tell you today are not my own, but from my mistakes, the mistakes I've made throughout the years, and from mentors and others who have helped me along the way. So I want to start off with a story and a question for you all, because a lot has changed in 20 years since I started to practice medicine. A few years ago now, IBM Watson, an artificial intelligence demo, sought to diagnose a patient with 6 symptoms. And doctors had scratched their heads, they had ordered a range of tests to get more data. And Watson, in just a few seconds, was able to read through 4,000 publications and applied probability algorithms to each of the symptoms and concluded with 80% certainty that the patient had a very rare condition that only one of the human doctors was even familiar with or had heard of. So the question I ask to you is, in a world where AI and machines are rapidly getting smarter and faster and conquering any specialist knowledge, what is the role of a human doctor? What is the role of you as physicians? And that's an important question, but I think the answer to that question is really exciting and inspiring for all of you as you enter your clinical years. Doctors are really for being more human than ever before. And so today, as you wear your white coats, you wear them proudly because you've certainly earned them through a lot of hard work. But I also challenge you to wear those white coats with humanity, to be humble, to be generous, to provide comfort. This is really the challenge that you will face. So today, you continue your journey to becoming a doctor, a journey that transcends science, academic achievements, and delves into the realm of compassion, resilience, and lifelong commitment to learning. So first and foremost, the foundation to becoming a good doctor is what you've been experiencing the last few years, a solid education. You must know stuff, or at least know where to find stuff on your smartphone that's correct when you need it. So the medical field is vast, and ever evolving. And a rigorous education ensures that you are equipped with the knowledge necessary to diagnose, treat, and care for patients. This involves not only excelling in medically related sciences, but also actively seeking practical experiences that will provide you with that training. Because as you will hear from me during the clerkships, it's really at the bedside where medicine is learned. And so think about that when you feel like sticking to your comfort zone behind a screen or reading the electronic medical record. It's really at the bedside where medicine is learned. So no matter how good generative AI is, the accuracy of your physical exam poses limits to AI's effectiveness. Right? A chatbot might arrive at a more accurate diagnosis if it knows that the patient has an elevated JBP or has reflexes that are 3+ or suprapubic tenderness. However, this assumes that you are able to accurately identify these physical findings. You are able to assess a JBP, check reflexes, or accurately assess for suprapubic tenderness. This fundamental aspect of your assessment will be necessary in order for AI to continue to help us in their increasing role of providing clinical decision-making and diagnosis. Actually, AI would be completely misled by the electronic medical record and documentation of 2+ reflexes in every single patient in the hospital. So think about that when you try to work on learning how to use that reflex hammer. So as you embark on your clinical rotations, this knowledge, this training will transform from just knowing to truly understanding. But knowledge, however, is only the beginning. It's not the only thing you need to be a wonderful physician. A good doctor, as you know, possesses qualities that go beyond textbooks, AMBOSS, UWorld, Sketchy, Anki, or any medical journal, right? Compassion is at the heart of medical practice because behind every diagnosis lies a human being. Patients are not just cases, they're individuals with fears, hopes, emotions. Taking the time to listen to their concerns, empathize with their struggles, and communicate with them and their loved ones effectively is really vital, and you play that role. It's about seeing the person and the community behind the illness. So, caring is a common virtue among all of us, indeed. But it takes courage. It's hard. It takes willingness to go there emotionally, to be with someone who is ill, to be with someone who is suffering. So when we're at the patient's bedside, how much do we care? After a long day, during a difficult situation, how much do we care? How do you find the capacity to care when you're being tested? And this will happen to all of us. Therefore, resilience is another important key attribute. Medicine is a challenging field, filled with successes and setbacks. Patients do not always recover, and difficult decisions may need to be made. A good doctor must be able to cope with stress, learn from failures, and continue to provide the best care possible. It's about staying committed to your patients and the profession, even in the face of adversity and hardship. All of us will impact people's lives every single day, for better or for worse. It's really up to you. So, continuous learning is also an important part of becoming a good physician. Medicine is a rapidly evolving field, with new research technologies emerging regularly. Keeping up to date with the latest advancements, attending conferences, engaging in lifelong learning are really essential because medical knowledge changes and dogmas fall. What you've learned in the last 2 years may not be true in the next 2 years. This commitment to learning ensures that you provide the highest standard of care and remain an asset to your patients and the medical community. When I think back to the treatment of ischemic stroke when I started as a student, and in the last 10 years, there's been a complete paradigm shift. And this is occurring again as we reorient towards brain health rather than brain disease. So remember, as Rilke said, you must live the questions. It is far more interesting not knowing all the answers. Always entertain an explanation, an alternative explanation, even when you feel you are 100% sure of the answer. As Marty Samuels, my favorite neurologist, said, the beauty of neurology and medicine is that the perfect answer is never attained, and only progressively clear image of the truth is gained over time. We can't know it all. We're always striving for a better understanding of how disease affects our patients and how to best care for them. You will make mistakes. At the end of the day, life is a game of incomplete information, and that's okay. So effective communication is also a skill that cannot be overstated. A good doctor communicates not only with patients, but with colleagues, with nurses and other healthcare professionals. So as you enter your clinical rotations and you find yourself in a disagreement and you find your blood boiling, remember, you can't always be right, but you can always be kind. Clear, concise communication fosters collaboration, ensures patient safety, and having a positive work environment is very important for patient care. It's about building relationships based on trust and mutual respect. So cultivate being humble. Remember, it's never about you, but about everybody else. Ethical conduct is also at the bedrock of medical practice. A good doctor adheres to a strong code of ethics, putting the well-being of patients above all else. This involves maintaining patient confidentiality, obtaining informed consent, making decisions based on the best interest of the patient. It's about upholding the integrity of the medical profession. Remember, you must be honest even when nobody's looking, because patients trust physicians because they have no choice. So lastly, patients come from diverse backgrounds, and understanding and respecting cultural differences is essential. Always remember to ask the patient to tell you a little bit about who they are and what they value. A good doctor, above all else, has a keen interest in people and a desire to understand what it's like to be human. When you enter a patient's room, it is a sacred place. Ask for permission to enter. Ask for permission to sit down. And always remember to put the patient's socks back on. So in conclusion, becoming a doctor is a multifaceted journey that goes beyond academic excellence. It requires compassion, resilience, continuous learning, effective communication, ethical conduct, and cultural competence. That's a lot. So as you embark on this journey, on this noble path, remember that being a doctor is not just a profession or work that you do by the hour. It's a labor of love. It's a lifelong commitment to learning, to caring, and making a positive impact on the lives of others. So this is my challenge to all of you. Cultivate being humble. Keep track of your mistakes and learn from them. Empathize with your patients, but don't expect empathy for you in return. It's not about you. Be present when present. Take a big breath, put all your worries aside, hold your patient's hand, and provide comfort. It is an honor and a privilege. The most powerful tool for healing is you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mota, for those very truthful and inspiring remarks. Next, please join me in welcoming Dr. Nidhi Goyal, Assistant Professor of Medicine and Pediatrics, and Dr. Ronnie Levin, Associate Professor of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences and Pediatrics, to the podium. Drs. Goyal and Levin are our very wonderful faculty advisors for our UMSOM chapter of the Gold Humanism Honor Society.
Hello, everyone. We will now proceed with a very special portion of our ceremony, the pin presentation. Students, as you arrived today, each of you received a professionalism pin. Please have the classmate sitting next to you place the pin on the lapel of your white coat.
They also walk.
All right. Are we all pinned? All right. Looks like everybody's pinned, right? Yeah. All right. So that shiny new pin should serve as a reminder of your duty to your patients and your profession. Congratulations to the class of 2026. We now invite Sarah and Robbie back to the podium to offer their advice on professionalism in the clinical setting.
Dear class of 2026, congratulations on completing your first 2 years of medical school. I think that deserves another round of applause. This is a huge accomplishment and something we hope you feel very, very proud of. It was not too long ago that we were sitting in our chairs, filled with excitement and a little bit of nervousness about entering the clinical world. This is truly a pivotal point in your medical education, and we would like to remind you of the privilege and responsibility that comes with being a student on the wards. Although you are still a student, you will no longer be a mere observer, but become an integral member of a team entrusted with the well-being of individuals facing some of the most challenging moments of their lives.
Professionalism is a concept that goes beyond evaluations and assessments, reaching into the very heart of the reason we chose to pursue a career in medicine. Our actions and attitudes shape the perception others have of us, and in turn influence the quality of care we provide. You will be the potential first smile of the day, the reassuring hand to hold in times of uncertainty, and you will have the most time to be thorough and thoughtful with your patient interviews and exams. We hope to remind you of the importance of being punctual, honest, and treating everyone with kindness and respect. In doing these three things, you will be well on your way to being an exceptional and caring future physician. We wish you the best of luck during this exciting next step, and now we ask that you join us in reciting the student clinician oath.
That arrow. Hit it again. Thanks, Krista. All right. So the oath is reviewed by our Gold Humanism Honors Society student members annually to ensure that it aligns with the values and goals of current medical students. Class of 2026, the oath can be found on the back page of your program and up on the screen. Please stand and recite along with us. As I begin this next stage of my medical education, I pledge to act in the best interests of my patients, to serve them with integrity, compassion, and respect for their beliefs and circumstances, and to maintain professionalism at all times. In doing so, I will remember that warmth, empathy, and the art of medicine are as vital as scientific knowledge to the care I provide as a healer, educator, and advocate. To these goals, I dedicate myself to the honorable traditions of the School of Medicine.
Thank you. We now welcome Dr. Tom back to the podium.
Slide 7.
Thank you, Robbie and Sarah, and thank you to all of our incredible speakers today. This was a very lifting and inspiring moment to share together. We are about to close in just a few minutes, but before I say some very brief closing remarks, I have some housekeeping. Students, when we finish today, please stay in your seats and wait for instructions about a class photo. And to all, we will be celebrating together with lunch across the street in the SMC Elm Ballroom immediately after the celebration. So once everyone gets their picture, we will see you there. So students, I leave you today with a quote from Dr. Verkes, who says, "I think we learn from medicine everywhere that it is. At its heart, a human endeavor, requiring good science, but also limitless curiosity and an interest in your fellow human being, and that the patient-physician relationship is key. All else follows from it." And I didn't even have the privilege of knowing what Dr. Moda's remarks would be today, but they mesh nicely. Truly, we are so excited for you to be at this stage of your journey. We cannot wait to see you on the wards in the next few weeks. Your teams and your patients are waiting for you to arrive. Welcome to the clerkships class of 2026.